The tension between Israel and Hamas has reached a point of no return. In the last 4 months, 163 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli fire. Israel, that's facing global condemnation for extreme actions, says it's only defending its border against infiltration attempts by Hamas. Tensions are escalating at a time when the U.S. has already squeezed funds for Palestinian refugees. The U.S. is asking the Palestinians to fall in line or suffer. The United Nations Relief and Work Agency for Palestinian refugees is depending on support from countries like India to continue its work in the region. WION's West Asia Bureau Chief Daniele Pagani sent us this report.
These are words from a leaked mail written by Jared Kushner, son-in-law and senior advisor of President Donald Trump, currently in charge of the so-called Deal of the Century, a plan aimed at finding a solution to the Israel-Palestine conflict. The battle against UNRWA, the United Nations Relief and Work Agency for Palestine refugees, is one among the many the Trump administration is fighting within the United Nations. A battle Donald Trump himself initiated on Twitter, of course. The U.S. administration had been UNRWA's largest donor for years, but Washington has decided to slash its funds from $365 million to $65 million. Washington has accused UNRWA of letting its funds slip into Hamas' hands in the Gaza Strip, an accusation promptly denied.
Get money to serve the Palestine refugees. We do not get money to serve Hamas. So I have had absolutely no reports, no evidence that any of the resources we have get diverted to Hamas. We use them to run our services for 1.3 million refugees.
Money is a negotiating tool, a constant in President Trump's foreign policy. He has said that if Palestinians want the money back, they must agree to renew peace talks with Israel. And UNRWA is left facing the worst financial crisis since its establishment in 1948. UNRWA provides aid to 4.5 million Palestinian refugees scattered in Lebanon, Jordan, Syria, the West Bank and Gaza. It provides schooling and grants access to health care. It's a major employer in all Palestinian territories, helping families secure loans for their houses.
We now have a situation where education, the school system of UNRWA, is facing an existential threat. It may be that we don't have enough money to open our schools for 535,000 children, not just in the occupied Palestinian territory, Gaza and the West Bank, including East Jerusalem, but also in Syria, Lebanon and Jordan.
The UN launched an emergency call, requesting other countries to increase their donations. Among the many, India answered positively and increased its share from 1.25 to $5 million.
We're extremely grateful to the government and the people of India for supporting UNRWA's work so generously, and also to supporting the Palestine refugees we serve, 5.3 million of the most disadvantaged people on our planet.
Emerging powers could fill the vacuum left by the United States. But as of now, UNRWA is running on empty coffers. The situation could be particularly hard for Gaza, where half the population lives below the poverty line.
The social consequences of these cuts in Gaza are frankly catastrophic. In many instances, an UNRWA food parcel is the difference between your family being above the poverty line and below the poverty line, being food insecure or not being food insecure. UNRWA's salary, a salary at UNRWA for an UNRWA worker in Gaza is often the difference between poverty or not poverty. And don't forget that many of the bank loans in Gaza are guaranteed by an UNRWA salary. So there's an extreme risk that the banking system itself would be deeply affected. So it could be catastrophic, frankly. And in a situation where people have been living under blockade for more than 11 years, where there's 95% of the water is undrinkable, where there's an electricity crisis, where there's a public health crisis, where there's there's a crisis in almost every aspect of human life. People are extremely fragile, and when you start to tinker around with service provision, when you start to cut services, indeed, the impact will be unpredictable, it will be dramatic.
The world is still waiting to understand precisely what the so-called deal of the century will be and how Jared Kushner intends, using his word, to solve once and for all the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. As of now, witnessing an enormous cut to the United Nations agency taking care of more than 5 million Palestinian refugees does not seem to help the conflict to come to an end.